Tonight, on a very special episode of Gigantic Pop, we're going to talk about rumors and gossip, and why you should never just randomly and recklessly speculate because of the damage it can do. Except for this one time that we're making an exception. Welcome to Gigantic Pop. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Matt Morgan and Raj Giri, and tonight we are going to wildly and recklessly speculate about this rumor that Warner Brothers Discovery could be doing a deal to bring Monday Night Raw over to Warner Brothers Networks. And what will that mean for AEW? What will that mean for PLEs on Peacock? What will that mean for the future of professional wrestling? All that and more tonight on Gigantic Pop. Matt Morgan, good to see you on a Thursday.
Howdy. Thanks to all of our folks tuning in, subscribing, liking, and sharing this, by the way. Thank you.
Absolutely. Raj, what did I interrupt in the world of Raj Giri on a Thursday night?
Not just football. It was a pretty mellow night. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
You just sit there, polish your silver, count your money, dive in your Scrooge McDuck vault.
It's funny.
Watch the game.
It's funny when you texted, because I was actually listening to Eric Bischoff's podcast today where he was discussing this very subject.
So what do we know, Raj? You're connected in the business world. You're not actually friends with wrestlers like Matt is, but you know some people in the circles in your VIP skyboxes at Taylor Swift concerts where they talk about the business with you. What are you hearing? What do we know about this potential deal?
So I don't keep in touch as much as I used to back in the day. But I mean, last week I heard, there was that Dave Meltzer had put out something that that Nick Khan had met with WBD back in October and they were turned down and that was it. And what I had heard is it's not it. And that was kind of it. I had heard it from one source. So I can't remember if I put something vague out about it, but I didn't really put anything out. And then this week it came out that on Monday morning, and you know what, I'll just read the whole thing from PW
Please.
Insider. They had the scoop. So PW Insider reported World Wrestling Entertainment continues work on locking in a new media rights partner for Monday Night Raw. PW Insider can confirm that this past Monday morning, TKO's Mark Shapiro, as well as WWE's Nick Khan and Paul Levesque were in New York City at the Warner Brothers Discovery headquarters, meeting with WBD executive Bruce Campbell about potentially moving Raw to the WBD family. Campbell holds the position of Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer, and we are told that the contingent met with Campbell for several hours Monday morning, with at least part of the team taking place in a conference room, usually reserved for David Zaslav. Levesque was at Raw later that night in Cleveland. And obviously, if a deal were to be made between these two entities, there would be massive ripple effects for professional wrestling, specifically because WBD's TNT and TBS have been the home for AEW programming since the fall of 2019. The belief is that AEW's current agreement with WBD runs through the end of the 2024 television season. And Tony Khan noted that he met with WBD 2 days ago during Thursday's ROH Final Battle media call, and that would have been the day after the WWE meeting. So, obviously a huge story. I mean, more than WWE talking to any other network or conglomerate, just because of, as PW Insider noted, the ripple effects that this would have if an agreement were to be reached.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Right? Yeah, no, you're right. So are they. Real quick, can I just say, I hope this doesn't happen. I really do, because for the sake of pro wrestling being as hot as it is, and here we go, the tribalists again. Oh, you hate AEW. No, now you hate WWE, man. AEW has helped wrestling get better, in my opinion, right? And I think a lot of people's opinions. And it would be a shame to have them no longer on that network because WWE is there. I get business is business, right? I say it all the time. So WWE's not going to care that they're knocking them out of there for sure. I have no doubt. But overall scheme, I hope they don't get it. I hope they go somewhere else for whatever rhyme or reason, because I want AEW to still be on that network.
Yeah. No, it would be Raj. WWE needs to get a significant rights fee increase. Wall Street beat them up when USA got a rights increase for SmackDown, but not the huge increase WWE had been promising. And as a result, WWE stock dipped and it still hasn't recovered. It was up $100 Now it's been down
TKO
in the
stock.
80s. Yeah, TKO stock
Right.
since this happened. So part of me, Matt, to your point, if WWE just wants to be assholes and kick AEW in the nuts, they go to Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers and David Zaslav, who, by the way, has a reputation for being quite the penny pinching asshole himself, shelving the finished Batgirl movie to take a tax write-off, shelving or attempting to shelve the finished Wile E. Coyote movie that John Cena is in to take a tax write-off, but because of the outrage over that, they actually now are selling it. David Zaslav has taken a lot of stuff off HBO Max to save money. Like, he's not going to give WWE a premium price when he knows that strategically, yes, this takes some chess pieces off the board for AEW, but WWE stock is going to be punished for this. Again, not financial advice, just speculation based on what happened with SmackDown. But like WWE, it would be neat for them if this happens strategically, but this is not good for them just making as much money as possible.
And you're not giving advice, by the way. You're using precedent, which we all try to do to try to guess what happens, right? That's all we're really doing. And speculating.
Yeah. And I say that as someone who bought a little WWE stock because I was like, I talk about this shit enough. I might as well own a piece. And it's depressing to see how it just tanked after that happened.
I wish I got stock in it when I was first started.
Back then, Jesus, yeah, that would have been amazing.
Or get it now, because who knows?
Not like in 2016 when it was at $15 a share. But but business wise, it doesn't make sense for any other reason than them just giving the finger to AEW.
No, I mean it makes sense if they get the money for it, right? If so, right now, the reason the stock tanked after the SmackDown deal was announced, because they announced $287 million per year, which was a 40% increase from what they were doing before. And Nick Khan had been saying they were expecting a 50%. And if you follow the stock market, if you miss expectations even by a little bit, that hurts. And plus, it was moving from Fox to USA, far less exposure, kind of gives the impression that the company, it's a downgrade as far as stations.
I thought it was.
Yeah, so that's why the stock tanked. Now, as far as going with WBD, if WBD gives it that 50% increase that they were looking for originally, the old rights fee was $235 million per year for Raw. So if you get a 50% increase, let's see, what is that? That is $350 million, $350, right?
Yeah. So what's AEW getting?
AEW right now, I think is getting, it's like 45 to 50. And
time out. Are you including Ric Flair paying them to be on the show?
Oh, that's true.
Is that part of it? Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
And he brought bottles of water for everyone, plus all the Woo energy drink they could handle. Right. But here's my point, Raj. If you look at AEW's ratings compared to WWE's ratings, if AEW
and real quick, one thing I want to make a little note on, when I said 45 million per year, that's just for Dynamite. I don't know how much with Rampage and Collision included.
But follow me on this point. If that does 800,000 viewers and WWE does twice that, why would they pay 6 times, 7 times as much for a show that only does twice as much in the ratings?
Good question.
Well, it's kind of like, it does. Raw basically in viewership most weeks does close to what Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage added up all do, right? So those, those
so
5
maybe
hours,
that's 2x or 3x multiple, and
it's the A brand. It's like, why have the NFL for 20 times more than the XFL when we can have the XFL? It's a lot cheaper. You got to look at advertising, and advertisers know WWE. They don't know AEW.
They know them, so advertisers know WWE so well that Fox said we can't sell advertising on this shit for the money we want to get.
They can sell it. They just can't.
They can't
not
sell
for the money.
They
can
for what
justify
the
an
gets.
Increase.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. It's not getting. And I've been saying that for years. Like you look at what Young Rock was getting with a fraction of the ratings and viewership that SmackDown was getting. That's just pro wrestling. And with AEW, it's the number 2 pro wrestling company, so it makes it that much harder. And so, for WBD to have the A wrestling product, because I don't think they'll lose the NBA. I think they'll come up with something where they show a lot fewer games. but they're probably still paying the same. But if they did lose the NBA and their top property is the number 2 wrestling company, I mean, that's a big, and the NHL, I guess, but that's just a big drop down, as far as prestige for that network. And Big Time Baxter, I'm sorry, the number I quoted was SmackDown. Big Time Baxter noting it's $265 million for Raw right now. And when I said SmackDown, the old deal, $265 million for Raw right now. A 40% increase would adjust to $387 million. So yeah.
Who the hell is Big Time Baxter? Wow, that's awesome that you're one of our viewers and you're smart as you are. Thank you. Pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you for that correction. But yeah, if it's below 40%, another Big Time Baxter comment, anything below a 40% increase will send the stock on live support, and that definitely would hurt the stock greatly. So for WWE, I don't even think, with Vince not being in charge anymore, that they would put a non-compete in their, or an exclusivity in their agreements. I mean, you saw with CW, they reportedly had been talking with the NWA about doing something on their streaming service.
They're not signing anything with any of the wrestling program being allowed. That's obvious. There's no way.
Yeah, CW doesn't even have that many time slots.
Right. Well, as far as WBD goes, why would they want to pay for 2 wrestling companies? And because it's not like,
it's not even worth talking about. They're not. But let me ask you your opinion on this, Raj. While it's a big FU to AEW, if this happens, let's pretend it does. Then AEW goes the path that Impact did, where they're not able to get on a real network and they die a slow death. I'm not saying Impact or TNA is dead, but they're not what they once were, because they're not on a main network. That's not good for the business.
That's terrible.
Good for the boys or the girls. That's why I don't like it, and I hope they don't do it, and I hope they get on a network that's still good enough. People can still get to go see Raw and SmackDown, obviously, because that's important. That helps drive the business just more than anything, obviously, because it's the main game in town. But still, I don't want to see them do it at the expense of AEW getting potentially bumped off.
Right. And to that point, if AEW got bumped off, there's not a lot of options. You got Disney with FX, and FX had been rumored. And I still think my prediction, and granted, I've been wrong with a couple things this year. It's just a prediction, not from anything.
Yeah, just guessing.
Yeah, it's just a guess. I think Raw ends up on FX. But if Raw were to move to WBD and AEW was forced to move off, there's not a lot of options. There's FX and then maybe Paramount. But the problem with Paramount is they just got rid of Showtime Sports. They own that. So they basically got rid of their sports division. I'm not sure if they're willing to kind of, even though wrestling's kind of in the middle of sports, usually, with WBD, it's part of Turner Sports. So I just don't know if they'd be willing to bring a pro wrestling program on.
Can I ask an obvious question? Why can't WWE just stay where they're at?
Because USA
money
spent the money on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So they can't. There's no way.
I mean, as we saw last time the rights were up, USA got rid of SmackDown because they can afford both Raw and SmackDown, and that's when they're a lot cheaper.
And funny enough, now that the stories have been coming out that Suits, USA's former show, is like the most streamed show on Netflix, like it's having a resurgence.
That's my go to sleep show.
Yeah, well, so now USA is saying maybe we should get back in the primetime 1 hour drama, bring back some Burn Notice, some Law and Order Criminal Intent,
great show,
some Monk,
great show.
Go back to doing that. But here's the thing: do I want to live in a world where I watch Monday Night Raw after an episode I've seen 8 times of Law and Order Special Victims Unit, or do I want to live in a world where I watch Raw after The Accountant, which I've seen a dozen times on TNT? It's kind of a tough call. And here's what I'm the most bummed about in this. Why did it have to merge with UPN and become the CW? Because I want the headline to be WWE goes to the WWB. Why is the world denying me this?
That's a shame.
I mean, that's what we're all here for, right? I mean, come on. Bring back Michigan J Frog. Make it happen.
And to show you how times have changed, I remember when UPN was coming out as a newer network. I thought that was the coolest network. I had the coolest shows, I thought, more hip, more new.
Homeboys in Outer Space.
And so when SmackDown,
Shasta McNasty.
That's what that's when SmackDown went on UPN, like that was capturing that younger demographic. So what happened at UPN? Just
UPN and WB weren't able to successfully pivot, so they merged and became the CW.
And then they kind of got rid of SmackDown. Even though SmackDown was their number one show. Again, it comes down to those ad dollars, and the ad dollars have gotten a lot better over the years because WWE changed to PG, became a lot more sponsor friendly. So it's definitely a lot better now. But still, I mean, this has been the problem with wrestling. And, when people compare, when they're like, oh, look at AEW's ratings compared to hockey, it's like, but hockey brings in money, big money. NBA brings in big ad dollars. They might be loss leaders for the network, but they're still prestigious. They bring in ad dollars. And it's a way more valuable property than pro wrestling. Even with WWE, it's a distant, probably 6th or 7th as far as the other sports properties go.
Oh yeah, but look at all the opportunities that used to give us, where we would have WWE talent guest starring on Star Trek Voyager, or an episode where the Mullets go to an episode of SmackDown. I mean, the corporate synergy just used to be off the charts with these things. But it would be weird. Because so one of the rumors I saw is that, maybe AEW gets moved to Discovery Network, which, oh my God, Discovery Network has really changed since its original intention. And then WWE goes to TBS or TNT.
But again, that's WBD paying for 2 pro wrestling organizations. And
HBO Max.
Yeah.
Because the rumor's been for a long time that AEW is going to do something with HBO Max.
And that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there was rumors that ROH was going to go on Max, and it's like, no, dude, it's not.
What were you asking about?
If AEW did go on HBO Max, is that considered better than them being where they are right now? No, right?
Oh no, it would be the PLEs would be on HBO Max, so it would be the idea that, or the pay-per-views. So and they would do the old episodes on our club. They would move that, but then it begs the question that, when the Peacock deal is up with WWE, if they're doing Raw on WBD, would they want to move the PLEs for WWE to HBO Max? It's actually, it's really dumb, but FX is an interesting idea. Then that brings in Hulu for streaming, although it's only a matter of time between Hulu just gets merged with Disney Plus, the way things are going. So I think WWE is disappointed that Netflix and Amazon didn't step up and make them an insane money offer.
How would that
know
work?
Yet? Yeah, we don't know.
How would that work? Let's say they did Amazon. What would that look
like? They would debut the episode Monday night at 6:00, and it would have ad breaks. Amazon. I mean, Amazon could just promote their own shit on the show.
Do you guys watch Thursday Night Football on Prime?
I wish I did. I don't have it.
Oh, okay. It would work exactly like that, where they have the ad breaks, they have the commercials. A lot of the commercials are for Amazon's own shows and products.
Gotcha.
But yes, they're paying big money for Thursday Night Football. So them adding Raw, I mean, that's not a done deal. I mean, that's not a dead deal. Before this news this week, I don't think anyone said WBD is the front runner right now. I mean, basically WBD, Amazon, and FX are the favorites. And I think it's all up in the air.
What will happen with anything with the Peacock Network? Does that change?
They're
26.
Yeah, they're under a contract till 2026. So until then, nothing would change. So we still got 2 years and change.
Here's my theory on this again, because David Zaslav has a rumor for just being a major jerk. I think he's doing this. I mean, any heat with this Zaslav cat? Because you read about it all the time. Like, I subscribe to HBO Max, and they just keep removing content. And why are they removed Westworld? Because they're like, they're like, we can make more money if we just write this off as a tax loss. Like, he's doing a lot of shady shit.
That wouldn't be for Westworld.
No,
that would be their licensing to Netflix, right? Well, they're licensing a lot of their shows now.
They've done that as well. So that's the two-pronged thing, Matt. So one, HBO Max, they actually said maybe we can make more money just selling this HBO stuff to other streaming services. We're just removing it all together. Like, it's really messed up. But what I'm saying is that if he's Machiavellian, I won't make the chess reference again, Matt. But if he's being Machiavellian about this, I think he's doing this because Tony Khan is now going to go into his renegotiation with AEW, and feel like he's got to cut a deal. Like for AEW to survive in its current form, TK has got to cut a deal to keep this on WBD networks.
That seems very conspiracy theory that they're that concerned about getting a new AEW deal that they're talking with WWE. They've been talking with WWE for a while.
Yeah, I know, but it's a good
And
negotiating tactic.
A few weeks,
Raj, remember when
they
you
don't
hired?
need to do it.
Look,
AEW is small change for the amount of money they'd be paying for it. So
Yeah.
I just don't see that David Zaslav is with all the other stuff he has.
Oh, Raj, don't act like when you hired Jack Farmer, that wasn't just to keep Glenn on his toes and be like, if you step up, I got handsome Jack here waiting in the wings.
That is true. Well,
Yeah.
But I'm petty like that. But no, I don't believe that rumor at all. And I got to disagree with you on this. I think it's a smart thing when they're losing so much money with Max that they're licensing out content where they can make money.
No, why in the fuck am I subscribing to HBO Max?
Because they have other shows. I mean, how many streaming services outside of Netflix are you watching more than 3 things on there?
I just need to cancel all of them. I need to go back to pirating everything. Like, it's so dumb. Just paying for this shit. It's so dumb. Like we watch Reacher over a weekend, and then it's like, okay, now I won't watch anything on Prime for another year.
I just I'd been subscribed to Paramount to watch Billions.
Yeah.
And now I'm done with it, I'm like looking at other stuff to watch. I'm like, there's nothing else on here that I want to see.
I know.
So
I need to cancel so much. Like, I'm still paying for AMC Plus. Because I was like, oh, Better Call Saul's good. Interview with the Vampire's good. And I haven't even loaded that app in a year. Like,
did you guys finish the last season of Heels?
No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to subscribe to Stars for that one show and then cancel it as soon as I'm done. But all these streaming, channels basically have like one show. Peacock, it's just the WWE network for me.
Yeah.
Poker
Face was pretty dope. Poker Face was really good.
But I'm done with that.
What the hell's Poker Face?
It's kind of like Columbo, but it stars Natasha Lyonne. Like, she can tell if people are lying. She investigates crimes. It's fun. It's a fun show.
Is it on Peacock?
It's on Peacock. Yeah,
it's good. I'm gonna watch it.
Have you seen Russian Doll on Netflix?
Yeah, I watched season 1.
Okay, but she was the girl in American Pie. She was the friend, but she's really
funny.
good. She's really good.
No, I think that with the WB and this happening, it's just an interesting to think about. Well, one, when there's a new season of Peacemaker, it'll be very easy for John Cena to show up and promote that. So that could be good. Instead of getting Chucky crossovers, maybe we get some DC Universe stuff. Warner Brothers owns The Shining, so right there, just think of all the fun tie-ins they could do for synergy. It could be good.
Right. Real quick, I want to get a couple of these super chats in here.
Yeah, please. Oh, yes.
Srideep Sengupta with 100 rupee super chat from India. Thank you, Srideep. Hi from India. You guys were the first podcast review about wrestling when I started. Love that you're back. Will AEW go to Fox? I would be willing to bet big money that it doesn't. No. Maybe FS1. I could see that, but not Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hope you're doing well in India. That reminds me, I've still got a couple cans of Thumbs Up Cola left that I need to drink.
That's good stuff.
That is great stuff. We special ordered some of that. It's very good.
If you got an Indian store near you, go and
get some Thumbs Up.
Yeah. Stellar Justin Lopez, our good friend, $9.99, says it all starts with Tony Khan. It's not show friends, it's show business. They had the next 6 months of TV booked if you let Punk and the Elite work this on TV. If they lose this deal, I hope it's a wake-up call.
I'm concerned it's a death nail.
Yeah.
I'm worried it's a death nail more than a wake-up call if this happens. I really am. But I don't want it to happen.
I mean, we see what happened when TNA went from Spike to Pursuit. It just never recovered, It
kept going down. It kept going down from there. Then to Pop, and then some other network I never heard of.
Right. Yeah. Pop and it basically Destination America. It's like every time they moved, it was to some network I heard of less before they finally went to Access. Yeah. And now, a couple of weeks ago, they did 70,000 viewers. They're in a rough spot. They've never recovered. They're kind of where they are now, where I think they've accepted it and they're doing what they can. But
that's their spot in this space right now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They're still in business. People are still making a full-time living wrestling for the company.
Yeah. People forget when WWE moved from USA to TNN. They dropped
ECW
big
was on
time
it.
in the ratings. Yeah, they dropped big
And
time for a while.
Yeah, they did. They did. I always thought that was a weird move because it used to be called the Nashville Network.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it was starting to be like a halfway decent channel, if I remember correctly. I was just finishing college, or I think. Anyways, and then when I saw them on that network, I was like, wait a minute, that used to be where ECW was on. They used to make fun of ECW for being on this low budget network, and now Raw's on
like
this.
Rodeo finals and reruns of Alice from Mel's Diner, and
all good stuff.
Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Wrestling was on there.
I watched that too.
Yeah. I remember the billboards. I remember they had billboards with The Rock on them, and it literally said the Nashville Network is now the National Network.
Yes,
that's what before becoming Spike.
Yeah. And then Spike, man, that Blade the series was awesome.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, that was really good. And then nothing else great happened on Spike. Professional programming.
Can you imagine to try to put those shows on TV today that used to be on Spike?
Oh yeah.
Like How to Die, 100 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff.
That's all that stuff like Viceland. It's all dark side of everything.
Right.
You know?
Which when there's nothing on, I'll put those on. They're usually pretty good, like Dark Side of the 90s and Dark Side of Hip Hop, you know. And if you have nothing to do, they're easy to watch.
Have you watched
it is all Dark Side on Vice.
Have you? What's the channel? What's the channel that has those music documentaries with all the terrible reenactments from people that look nothing like the band?
Isn't that
so
Vice?
You'll see Guns N' Roses. I don't know, but you'll see like Guns N' Roses, the real story, maybe. And then you see like it's like that dude is just wearing a slash wig. He looks nothing like they're all so cheesy.
Well, that's like Dark Side of the Ring a lot of times when they do it. Like the guy they had
That's
doing Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man episode. I was like, oh man, this is like it's almost cartoonish.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So the
most quick, Richard.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. No, good. So what you gonna?
Richard Tran with the $9.99 super chat saying Monday Night Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. I would love that. Raw to this day 3 hours. It's just a chore. That third hour, but the reason why Raw is worth so much more than SmackDown is because of that third hour. That's why it's so much more expensive, and basically they'd be making what SmackDown's making if they didn't have that third hour.
That's always the answer. Anytime I've asked that question over the years to people that I know are still working there is why, like Bruce or any of the guys in the back, why is it 3 hours? Why is it 3 hours? Because of that.
Stephen Marcuccioli, great to see you, sir. $4.99 saying if Disney gets WWE, I'd like Raw on ABC.
Wow.
Downey and WWE equals money. I mean, they're doing like 3 hours of Dancing with the Stars on ABC. I think Raw's really not in the ABC demo.
Steve, don't be pissed at me. What's Downey?
Oh, Robert Downey, right? Robert Downey Jr. because Disney.
Bob Iger, Robert Downey Jr.
Downey, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Okay. So WWE and Downey equals money.
Well, I mean, WWE beats ABC. WWE on Fox beats ABC in the demo every Friday night, but they have Dateline and 2020. Those are kind of institutions, so they kind of have to shuffle those around. There are like their Tuesday night lineup on ABC is weak, but again, it comes down to the ad dollars, and they're making way more money with shows that get lower ratings than they would with SmackDown. So
wow, Dancing with the Stars
or Raw, I mean, but
sorry.
That's still just in general from just growing up in our childhood to today. Just clicking from channel 2. Remember back in the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you hit 7 where it's ABC and Raw's on. Like it's not on channel frigging 45 or 39 or wherever the hell.
You know what it's like? Remember the last season of Different Strokes when they left NBC and went to ABC? Like,
oh my God, no, I don't remember. I watched every episode. I don't remember that.
It was starting with the episode where Sam gets kidnapped. That was when they moved to ABC. Like that was the first ABC episode.
Why is it always a little redhead kid that's the freaking kiss of death of our favorite sitcom shows? It is. So, he was there for that. And tell him who the Brady Bunch was, Glenn.
Cousin Oliver.
Damn right.
Yeah.
I stopped watching with when Cousin Oliver.
The JD McDonough of the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Even though he's one of my favorite actors now, when Growing Pains, when Leo came on, that was kind of like the real starting to go downhill.
I was about to say JD McDonough is your favorite actor, really? No. Dude, R-Truth has been crushing it. First, I
Oh
didn't
my
want him
God.
anything to do with Judgment Day because he's going to lessen them and hurt them and make it too comical, right? And they're supposed to be all badasses. But having him nonstop clown JD McDonough is the funniest stuff I've seen in a long time.
But you know what, though? This is going to end up being a Sami Zayn thing. It's going to start off funny, and next thing you know, R-Truth's going to be the MVP of the Judgment Day.
He's talented enough, man. He is so freaking funny.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Steve Marcuccioli meant Disney, not Downey. Spell check. Autocorrect. But Peter Bahi, $2 saying, "What do we call the TNT and TBS titles if AEW leaves?"
I mean, Prime is an easy one, right? If they went to Amazon, but
that I'm sorry, them having to explain it, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So two things I want to talk about. One, the weirdest rumor that I've seen in all of this, and I don't know who started this, but credit to you for making people believe it, is, David Zaslav was a huge fan of CM Punk. And that's why whoever has CM Punk, that's who he wants to be in business with.
I've seen that rumor, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like...
Well, that was, in Meltzer's thing, he was saying, like, Punk is part of the reason why kind of talks have opened up again. So on Wrestling Observer Radio, he was going, basically saying Punk kind of opened that door, helped open that door back up between WBD and WWE. And the rumor, the whole Zaslav Punk thing started because of CM Punk when he said Zaslav calls him one Bill Phil. I think it was Tony Khan later that said, yeah, Zaslav's a big fan of Punk.
Yeah, in a world of counterfeit bucks.
Right.
That's what he said.
That's a good line.
It was a good line, but like, we gotta call it straight, because we get on Dave that he's not always right, and it's this and that, so we can't, because he's saying something that we like and we hope may be true. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem with our entire country right now, and why we get stuck watching our own favorite news networks, because they want to be regurgitated of things we want to hear and we hope are true, when it's usually not. They're gassing us up.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely smoke to the fire in this, and PW Insider, I feel like, has been one of the most credible,
yes, I'll agree,
credible outlets for a long time, and the fact that they reported this meeting on Monday, I think it makes it pretty serious. And they were hoping to get this done fairly soon. The NBA rights are coming up early next year. WBD is, obviously involved to renew. NBC apparently is also in talks to get some of those rights. So I don't know if they're trying to get it done before the NBA rights, or if WBD and NBC want to push that off. But yeah, it's just a crazy time right now.
Well, let me ask you this: Why can't NBA go 100% back to NBC? That's where its real home should be. That's where it's been mostly.
They're looking to double their rights fees right now, which their rights fees already are insane. So I just don't think NBC could afford what they're looking for. So that's why you kind of have the split with ESPN right now and TNT. And I think that's kind of what would happen again. I don't know if they go three ways, splitting it with NBC, WBD, and ESPN, but it's just sports rights have gotten so expensive that it's become more worth it. Like you're seeing with the NFL, you got Fox with the Sunday afternoon game, and Amazon, and the Monday Night Football with ABC, and NBC with Sunday Night Football. They got them all. So I could see them wanting to do that. And I think WWE is smart. They got the CW, they got USA. And if they were to get WBD, that's three different entities, that they're spread across that, I think really, and then Peacock with the streaming. It just spreads them out, so you don't get stuck in a position like AEW kind of is in right now, where they don't have other existing partners that they could easily shift to. Their eggs are kind of all in one basket right now.
I got you. It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah. So the other thing, though, like the nights that wrestling is on could really change. I mean, they might already really change. We don't even know that SmackDown is on Friday on USA.
I think it would be a dumb move to keep it on Fridays, because that's a bad night for TV.
Yeah.
And for Fox, it works because they make a lot of money all their other nights. And Friday nights was, like a big gap. They had that Tim Allen show that was doing pretty well. But other than that,
Time?
no,
Yes,
what was
no,
that? Last Man Standing.
Yeah, Last Man Standing.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. God,
Yeah.
I'm old. Sorry.
It's
But-
basically the same shit.
yeah, it's the same character, just a different setting.
Yeah.
But so for Fox, but for Nick Khan has said that they're willing to move. Yeah.
Yes, please, somebody spam that, please.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but Nick Khan has said that they're willing to move Raw off on Monday nights. So it's not WWE doesn't care what
He
night
said,
Raw is.
whoa. He said that?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought I'd never lived it. Two things. Never thought I'd live to see Dave Vince McMahon no longer as the head honcho. I thought he'd die in that chair. And two, that they'd ever leave Monday nights for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Especially now that the NFL season's a week longer and now they have a playoff game on Mondays. You basically now have gone from 4 months of football competition to 5. So that's 5 months of your ratings being hurt, 10, 15%. Whereas if you move it to another night,
I was going to ask you, what's the percentage? 10 to 15?
it's like 15, sometimes as much as 20, that they're down from before football
that-
season. I mean,
So is
they
this
were
just
doing-
Vince? Is this Vince over the years just being super stubborn? And like he could have done this 20 years ago or 10 years ago when maybe the ratings were cutting in more?
it could have been maybe the USA wanted it on Monday nights.
Too
But it could be like just feeling it's an institution and people are so programmed. But as we've seen with
Very true.
SmackDown, anytime SmackDown has moved, when they moved from Thursdays to Tuesdays, their ratings went up on USA. Now, granted, they started going live every week, but still they went up. And when they moved to Fox on Friday, new night, and they went way up. And obviously a huge part of that's being on network, but still it didn't hurt them switching nights. So Raw is a little different because it's been so long, but it could still happen.
So FX, I've always thought of that. I'm not being disrespectful. I just always thought of it as a scrubby network because they'd put SmackDown on there on off nights when something more important would be on Fox. So therefore, it changed into thinking like it's a lesser than channel. So why would WWE ever put their Monday Night Raw program on that show?
Well,
That's
FX just started dabbling in sports. Like I think the XFL was on there. So, Glenn, you probably know better than I do because I know FX had a couple of hit shows, like Nip Tuck was one. That was a pretty big hit.
That was
before. Yeah, but that was before Disney bought them. I'm trying to think of what has been big since Disney bought FX from Fox.
What we do in the shadows?
Oh, what we do in the shadows. Movies too, I thought. Like I always see Fast and Furious, like thousands of replays.
Yeah, they do
Sons
a
of
bunch
Anarchy.
of movie, but that was also that was before Disney.
No, the new one, the Mayans spinoff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Wait, what?
You didn't know about this?
No,
I didn't know about it either.
There's another Sons of Anarchy about a different. It's about the Mayans.
I remember them.
Yeah, it's a show about them.
How old is that? Is that old now by now?
No, I mean I think it's just ending. It's been on for like 5 seasons. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. They've had a couple things. Snowfall.
Yeah, good call, Michael.
So for What We Do in the Shadows and The Old Man. I've heard of The Old Man.
Fargo. Fargo is their big hit.
Okay.
I tried watching Snowfall, and as an adult, let me tell you, it had been a while since I had this experience. Sat down, like, let's watch Snowfall. I'm sitting there with my mom, who was over, and it opens with a very graphic sex scene. I was just like, fuck.
I always hate that.
Yeah, that used to happen when we were kids. When you watch something with your parents, you're just like, "Oh, this is really uncomfortable." So as an adult to have that happen was just. But then I remember being when my mom was staying with us, come down late at night, and she's watching TV in the living room, and she's got on like Game of Thrones and stuff with like the most graphic sex scenes. And I'm like, I don't want her to know I'm here because it's gonna make it uncomfortable for both of us. I did like the Homer Simpson. Like I just turned around and walked right back upstairs. Like, don't need to acknowledge this.
Yeah, I remember the first movie I saw with my parents that wasn't PG was European Vacation. And there was this part where the girl flashes her tatas, and I remember just it was like 4 seconds, but it was the most. It felt like 20 minutes just sitting there and just kind of like, are they looking at me? Like, are they seeing how I'm reacting? But
so when I was that age, I'd be screaming woo. I would be screaming woohoo and going like crazy. Then my mom would yell at my dad, "How can you let him watch the show?"
Yeah, I remember
little
watching
boy.
Married with Children, Three's Company before that with my parents, and it was always you'd get
I wore a
uncomfortable.
married with children shirt to school once, and I had sent home. Couldn't wear it back to school again. That's how serious they people were against that show when it first came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was considered really raunchy for that time.
Yeah.
Oh, Bundy's the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
To this
Man.
day.
Yeah, but that like there should be a sign for like a guide for that. Like, do you ever do that? Like when you look at before you watch something with like I do have it with younger relatives. I'm sure Raj, you have it with your daughters, where it's like I find myself now looking at the parents guide on IMDb to make sure I'm not about to put on a movie that's going to just be a very uncomfortable experience for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I check those out all the time.
Yeah.
Another thing with Married with Children, before we move back
Please.
on topic, they used to always have pro wrestling references on there. I just finished Billions, and the fifth. I mean, they have pro wrestling references
All
on there
over it.
all the time, all over
it. Especially
and
the
just
last
ran. There'll be like an old politician who's making a Ken Patera full Nelson, reference.
They go out of their way to show their wrestling fandom on that show. You're absolutely right. They're using not even like The Rock or Hulk Hogan. They're using like obscure
Bobo Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Triple H was on. I just finished the series. Triple H was on one of the episodes, and they had his entrance music in one scene. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Dan Soder's on that show.
Did you watch
who does the best Macho Man impression?
Did you watch the whole last season? The whole?
Yeah, I just finished it last night.
You're fully caught up?
Yep.
Such a great show, right?
It was really good. The season where they had COVID in the second half, it kind of sucked because they're all kind of separate and they're doing stuff on their phones but after that, it's a great show. I did definitely highly recommend it. Especially if you like a show like Succession, I think you'll like Billions.
Yes.
Yeah. So Will Chisholm, $5, wants to know how likely is the WWE move to WB and how big of a role that Punk may play. I mean, if he ends up being the man that made this all possible,
the catalyst. Yeah,
that's kind of crazy in the grand history of wrestling. And man, fuck Jack Perry.
So much. So much of me wants to see it for these reasons. All right.
Can you imagine? Like when they tell the tale 100 years from now about the rise and fall of AEW and WWE becoming the monopoly of professional wrestling, it'll be like, that Jack Perry made a comment and set in motion a chain of events that would ripple throughout the wrestling world for a century.
Could be a t-shirt that would just say effing Jack Perry. Exclamation mark.
But if Punk is the reason why this door is open and a deal does get signed, you talk about a talent being worth their weight in gold, geez.
Platinum. And again, I'll remind folks, Tony, you had this in your backyard. But, oh my God, I was scared for my life. You exaggerator? No, you weren't.
No, here will be the opposite. This will be the flip side. Is Tony Khan? They end up getting kicked off WB. They don't get the rights renewed. He goes on a bender and he wakes up in the morning and goes, "No. I think about it. This is a real wake up call." And it just be like behind the times, bro. And
we're obviously kidding. We all want AEW to not only survive but thrive. And
we need it to
for all of wrestling.
It has to.
Yeah,
it has to in order for the business to keep on the upswing that it's been on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it must. And CM Punk, by the way, not only was he at Deadline Saturday, he had such a good time at Deadline. This is the other story that's been bubbling up with a lot of people confirming that, this could happen. He was so impressed with NXT on Deadline on Sunday. He went down to Florida for NXT yesterday or Tuesday and hung out backstage with the talents. You see all these photos with him, with Nikita Lyons and Cora Jade. And he's apparently just been talking up HBK, letting younger wrestlers pick his brain. And people are seriously saying that he's so inspired by this and enjoying this so much that it's not, it's already being floated. It's not a realm of possibility that he could pull an HBK ultimately and go down and help run NXT.
I could totally see that. He wants to help younger talent. There's no question. It oozes out of him.
Yeah.
You could always get that vibe from him. And
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think one of the things with NXT is you have so many young talents, but they're not stars yet, so they don't have those egos, and they're not immature. Whereas I think with AEW, you had a lot of younger guys who were kind of immature. I could see CM Punk thriving in the locker room where you have a bunch of guys like Randy Orton and Roman Reigns and guys like that who kind of keep the younger guys in check, and they're not, going off script and dropping these references that are going to piss you off and kind of.
WWE has a structure to it. No matter what year we're in, it starts from the developmental and it works its way up to the main roster. It's an infrastructure. It's been there for decades, before there was even developmental, and it's still there today. It still exists there today, and that's the difference versus, like you just said, Raj. Others, whether they're immature or not, or they don't have that experience of being in a locker room with that type of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And how to deal, more importantly, when somebody maybe does come in and maybe does have an ego. Let's say Punk did come in, did have a massive ego, let's say at AEW. You still look past that and go, this is about business. I don't care. How do I work this guy so I can make a lot of money? That's how WWE talents are brought up.
Yeah. Do you think, I don't know what the starting AEW wage is, but with NXT, people are still starting in the like $30,000 to $50,000 range, and it can go up. But I think it tops out around with what a minimum main roster contract does, with exceptions. Like Shinsuke was on a larger deal, Asuka was on a larger deal, Finn Balor at the end was on a larger deal. But I'm wondering, AEW doesn't really have house shows. If you're there, you're on TV, you're dealing with the crew. NXT, even if you're Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes, they're still doing that Florida loop where they have to set up the ring in these vets halls. I think it is a more humble, I think it's more similar probably to what you went through in OVW, Matt, which I think mentally probably keeps the talent in check more than AEW does with some of the younger talents that they're signing.
I didn't think of it that way. That's not a bad point, because you're right. I watched when I first got to OVW, Cena was the captain of our ring crew. Before him, Brock Lesnar was the captain of that ring crew. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. And we all had to listen to who the ring crew master was. Drove the truck to these different venues all over Louisville, Kentucky when I was in OVW. And you're 100% right. Every person had to put in and help set that ring up. If you did not, you might as well quit, because your life's going to be a living hell for the rest of your stay there.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to think of Brock Lesnar and John Cena on the ring crew,
Right? Brock Lesnar I'll get to a quick story. I was only the third person in OVW history to be able to pick up two of the posts at the same time to bring it into the arena, or bring it into the church and the VFW halls we were wrestling in. The posts that you see, the turnbuckles on and everything like that, Brock, and I want to say not Batista either. Maybe Mark Henry. There's only three of us that were able to do that, pick up both at the same time and bring them in. It usually takes two people to bring in one. Put myself
over. You, Mark Henry, and Brock. That's pretty good company.
I think there's something to be said for that, because look, we talk about shake everyone's hand, look them in the eye. But, there's like the famous story, for as much as a D-bag as he can be, David Lee Roth, the night before the tour, would scrub the stage and like camp out, on a sleeping bag on there, because he wanted to get in touch with, and humble himself for the privilege that he had to do these tours and play these venues. I do think there's something to be said, not for the bad stories we hear, about Wrestlers Court or JBL or hazing, not for that.
Or the bullying. No, you're
not the bullying, but there's something to be said for paying your dues in an organized fashion. And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting down or taking away driving for, $20 gas money and a hot dog to wrestle an indie show. That's important also. But you are your own business and your own vessel when you're doing that. There's something to be said for having to function as a team and be part of an organization that's much larger and greater than yourselves, and recognize your role in that. I think that's really beneficial. for wrestling talent.
You're spot on with that. It's a great example. One quick thing. When AEW first started, the reason why it was so attractive to me and many others was because you had a group, a clique that came together, and it was it felt to me like them against the world. Let's all support them. That's what every fan did. That's why they sold out at the first All In and things like that. But or All Out, whatever the hell it was called then. And we followed them along their journey. Bucks, Kenny, Cody, Hangman kind of a little bit on the outside of that, but still within it, right? And from there, it grew. When Jericho came in, he got along with everybody, and things were still moving forward, right? There's still good chemistry in that locker room. So when they started to bring in an abundance of WWE guys, when that happens, you have that many talents back there, it causes just automatically, it will cause, unless you have an Undertaker like a locker room leader, or you have Roman Reigns, or now Seth Rollins, or other locker room leaders that say, hey, we all change in the same locker room. Then you'll have sporadically guys in different locker rooms all throughout that arena, and that's where the split starts. That's where the division starts. And it's not even meant to be done on purpose. It just happens because you have an influx of newer talents that come from the so-called big leagues versus what AEW is considered at the time. And so there's going to be a absolute natural reaction if you're an AEW quote-unquote original. Like if you ever heard Jack Perry cut promos, like it's like nonstop. I've been here since day one. No disrespect, you couldn't go nowhere else. So like that's being like the world's tallest short person. Again, my favorite saying. So but when they say it with such bass in their voice and such conviction, you can say they have a ton of pride in that. So when somebody outside, especially WWE, comes in there, I can see why. Do you know what I mean? They might not get along right away. Like, who the hell does this guy think he is? So it has to take a special person like a Daniel Bryan to be able, Bryan Danielson, be able to come in here, and Claudio Castagnoli, I bet you, is well liked as well. That could come in there because they're business, and they also came from the indies before they got to WWE and became super successful, and they didn't forget where they came from. So they could do that and come in and slide in and get along with everybody, but it's not always going to be that way. And when it's not that way, you still have to do business. So hopefully they learned a lesson out of this with Punk, that if you guys do get, I'm not saying it's going to be Goldberg, but who knows? It could be another bigger former WWE talent that becomes a huge star one day, and it's 10 years from now. And hopefully AEW is still doing their thing. And they get that big star signed, and the dude's a dick or a prick. You got to learn to still do business with that person. You have to.
It's weird that Big Show, for all him being around stuff and telling Vince McMahon that Matt Morgan's unsafe. It's weird that Big Show's not trying to politic into being the veteran who's been there, seen it all in the WWE locker room, and can try and bring some order to these kids.
I'm surprised. I don't know. Is he at every show? Is he at all the tapings, or is he just?
But he was there early on. He was there a lot. I don't know how much he's there anymore. But even Mark Henry, it's just weird that we have some of these guys, and
they're at these shows though.
Yeah, they just show up, hang out in catering, get a check, and go home.
Punk said, "I'm not just trying to, bleep ride Punk for the rest of the show." But remember what he did say in that press scrum was what Hangman Adam Page said about getting advice from veterans. So if you're a veteran, like Billy Gunn's even said that in interviews. So if like you're somebody that's Billy Gunn is a Hall of Famer, Mark Henry, Hall of Famer, Big Show will be a Hall of Famer, then they're not willing to listen to you. What are you supposed to do? Because that's an unheard of. That's just an unwritten rule. If a veteran's sitting there helping you, you have to at least, even if you don't think they're right on something, just out of respect, implement what they asked you to do in that match just by giving you an idea. They pull you aside, say, hey, kid, why don't you try this? And whether you agree with it or not, it's up to you whether you want to use it or not, but just out of sheer respect, tell them why, you're not comfortable with it. Or, hey, you know what? Screw it. I might not be comfortable with it. I'm going to give it a try because you're super successful. You paved the way for someone like me to be here today. I'm going to, sure, no problem. Thanks for taking the time to even care enough about watching my crappy match to pull me aside and try to help me. They don't do that there, supposedly. They don't do that. And Punk called them out for that.
Yeah, another thing relating to Punk and Perry, and I want to make it clear too that I don't justify Punk attacking Perry. That he shouldn't have done that, but Perry was the catalyst. I mean, that's how it started. If you're going to shoot on a veteran, and you saw this with Edge, of all guys, Edge, just like 2 weeks in with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks had a promo where he like dissed him, and Edge just, you could tell he was pissed. And
Jericho got him on Wednesday night last night. Jericho got him last night as well.
Right. But if you're going to rip on a veteran, you got to, get them approved first. Talk to the veteran about it ahead of time. And again, what you were saying, Matt, respect. Show some respect. If you're going to be calling them out, making fun of their appearance, let them know ahead of time. Make sure it's okay first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 seconds to do. Doesn't take any bit of the hurt out of it.
Well,
if you're big, it doesn't.
By the way, to this day, is your first inclination to say Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson? And with Edge, is it Edge or Adam Copeland?
Edge, Daniel Bryan.
Same.
Yeah, it's not.
After all these years, it's still Daniel Bryan.
I keep screwing it up. That's how you know.
It's easier to follow than some of the other switches, though. But Matt, to your point, though, about the Bucks and Hangman and Cody when these guys started, here's the difference. Like, I didn't, as I'm sure, most people will be shocked to hear this looking at me. I wasn't really one for much organized sports as a teenager and a young man. I played soccer as a child. I was on the wrestling team for 1 season, and that was about it. I hung out a lot in the punk scene, the theater scene, all of these things. And, when I look at independent wrestlers, it's very similar to that. You're doing the gigs, like I said, for gas money and a hot dog. You're busting your ass. You're your own business, much like a punk band, touring, sleeping on floors, and selling t-shirts. Now, you might think, oh, that's the communal spirit. No. The music scene and the theater scene is some of the most ego-driven shit I've ever seen, where there's insecurity because somebody got this and you didn't, and you think you're working hard, so you deserve it, but somebody else got an opportunity. Whereas meanwhile, organized sports really, again, teaches you teamwork, camaraderie, and I think that's where NXT has the edge. And it's actually, Matt, it's fixing some of the problems that you experienced, because WWE would bring in people who were indie wrestlers and they'd be like, why do we have all these egos backstage? And Undertaker has to keep these kids in line. Why are we dealing with the pro wrestling version of Bebe's kids backstage at SmackDown in the early 2000s? I think NXT is fixing that, and AEW needs to figure out something. So it's not just everyone that's used to being in business for themselves now trying to coexist under this umbrella, and they're all clamoring for TK's affection.
A lot you just said, and I agree with a lot of it. Just real quick on the team sport front, though, no, teammates definitely get jealous of one each other's contracts.
There's bullshit,
right?
but when you're out there, yes, ultimately,
whatever the hell the saying is. What's 3 months saying?
One for all and all for one.
There you go. That saying.
When everybody has to do 2-a-days in the swampy morning weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're Deion Sanders and you no-showed all your spring because you signed a baseball contract to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So I did want to ask you guys your predictions on why don't we get to the super chats first, and then we'll get to the question.
What do we got?
Pop them in whenever they pop in.
All right. So let's see. Bigfoot Sneakerhead with the $1.99 super chat. If WWE goes to Netflix, how would that work?
Yeah, how?
Well, Netflix doesn't right now have. They've done live specials now. I think who was it? I think it was Dave Chappelle. I think they did a live special.
Mm-hmm.
They did one live special. So
was it live?
It was live, and then you could watch it later. I can't remember who. I thought it was Dave Chappelle, but so they have the capability. They haven't showed much interest because they are so profitable and sports are so expensive that they haven't shown much interest. And I don't see them doing it just for WWE unless they have other sports in the pipeline. So, I mean, you could always do it where they tape it and then put it on Netflix, but I don't know. I haven't heard of Netflix as a suitor for WWE this time around. They might have had just talks just to, get to know each other and things like that, but I just don't see that happening.
Good question, though, BFS.
Yeah. Good friend Stephen Marchichuli with the $4.99 super chat. Could you imagine if Jack Perry tried that stuff with Brock Lesnar?
Oh my God! Remember the other week I was showing my Brock impression at Denny's when he again just slams his fists on the desk. I mean, on the table. All the silverware bounced like a foot in the air. That would be Jack Perry. That's the size of Jack Perry compared to Brock Lesnar. Oh my God! Oh my
God, that would be hilarious. Do you think Perry would try it? Would he have said that line if it was Brock Lesnar?
I don't know, because to be fair, I don't know this kid from a hole in the wall. I hate to judge him, but at the same token, we get what we see and we talk about. That's what we're supposed to do. on the show. But I would like to think not. I would like to think he wouldn't. It's a self-suicide mission.
Good friend Peter Bahi, $2 super chat. Matt, what's the chance you will run for governor of Florida?
Brother, you spent $2 on that? You could have just asked me that on Twitter, brother.
Could have donated it to his campaign.
This much.
For our listeners, that's a big zero.
That's a big fat zero if you can't see my fat face. Sorry.
Will Chisholm with $5 super chat. Thank you, Will. Punk wanted to help the young talent in AEW. With NXT, they grew up loving him. And will they listen? Do they?
So,
will they listen?
He's saying they will listen. So let me just point something out. The Bucks grew up on CM Punk. Big time. So did Kenny Omega. So did all of those guys in AEW. That's why I never understood any of this. Like, can't we work through this somehow? Like, I kind of grew up like if Hulk Hogan turned heel on me, right? Or not Cena's my age, but somebody who was Andre the Giant. I don't know. Somebody I grew up watching. Okay, Undertaker. Let's say it was Undertaker. It was my favorite guy, my favorite wrestler. And let's say he did something really crappy to me or whatever, and we got into a fight backstage, whatever have you. Do you really think that I'd be like, no, it's him or me, or I'm leaving? No, I would figure out how the hell can we make work out of this. I guarantee you, so would he. Most importantly, the mom or dad of the situation is supposed to be the promoter, the owner, is supposed to buckle that down and fix it and figure out how do we do this. And I've had people go, well, man, how do you know Tony didn't sit them down? We already know it was never done. It was never done. One side would not agree to do it, then the other side wouldn't agree to do it either. You make them do it. You're paying them. You make them do that, Tony. It's your company.
I don't know. Did you ever see that footage of the Young Bucks doing that CM Punk victory lap after the night he was fired when Tony Khan announced it?
Yes. And again, Tony, did you pull him aside? Did you say, hey, that's not a good look? Or any of that? The stuff with Adam Page when he cut that promo. Did you not cuss him out when he got in the back? Because I know I would have been cussed out if I did that in the ring with an Undertaker or a guy that's way more over than me that we just brought in spending a lot of money on and our network really likes. I would be cussed at for that.
Yeah. I mean, the Bucks doing that victory lap, and if it does end up Punk being the catalyst for WWE going to WBD, that would just be quite the image, going for. I don't know. It's just kind of surreal when you think about it. And then finally, Said Suka with the $4.99 super chat. Tony Khan's in serious danger if Raw goes to WBD because it's not the issue of finding another network; it's finding one who will pay top dollar for it. And that,
chaos. For it's top dollar for it's chaos, and he's right about that. Chaos is correct.
It would be chaos. And you saw the deal that NXT just got, and Dynamite's ratings are a lot closer to NXT than they are Raw. And NXT got 36 million. That's less than Dynamite's making now. So when people keep talking about comparing Dynamite's money deal to Raw, look at where NXT, what they got. So
NXT, time out. NXT, can I ask you a quick question before we move on? Is that because WWE made them do it? Like say, hey, part of this deal is you got to show NXT on USA or whatever network they're on.
No, this is on CW. This is on CW.
On CW?
Yeah, it's going to be on CW.
That's impressive as hell. Wow.
But
that really is impressive. 36 million they're getting.
But if compared to what Raw is getting, Raw is getting 10 times that with not even not double the ratings, but it's 10 times as much. It actually is almost double the ratings.
I'm comparing the NXT number millions versus AEW's.
Right.
So NXT's getting more.
No, not right now. Dynamite's still getting more. Yeah.
But NXT used to lose money substantially and was never meant to even turn a profit.
Right.
So it's actually it's
found money.
Yeah, it's amazing that they can take something that's developmental and turn it into, again, what I would argue is the best wrestling show each week, just in terms of pure entertainment value.
You're not the only person. Lots of people think that.
Dude, it's so good. They've got a new character, Matt, that's a lawyer. That's his gimmick. He's an attorney.
I saw it, actually. I did see it. I swear I did.
And I'm like, this is going to be good. He's going to get Tony D'Angelo out of jail next time. It's going to be amazing. Tuesday was good, man. That what they're doing with Tatum Paxley stalking Lyra Valkyria. That was interesting. The match with Lyra and Nikita Lyons versus Blair Davenport and what's her face was good. Yeah, and the stuff with Carmelo and Trick Williams is still hot. It's a fun show, man. It's really good.
It is. And I just don't know how that attorney's going to be able to transition that into wrestling, but keep going on. So the super chat.
And then the last one that I'm seeing, I don't think I'm missing one. Yep. T Smitty 3000 with the $5 super chat. AEW on Tubi or Jukebox? I haven't even heard of Jukebox. WWE reminds me of my time in the Air Force. We paid our dues, mentored our young troops, and respected more experienced troops.
Thank you for your service, first and foremost. Holy crud. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. That is a real great perspective you just shared with everybody. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. And obviously Tubi or Jukebox would not be ideal, but the second part, I think 300%.
I think Pluto could make a serious play for AEW.
Pluto.
Yeah. So
what the hell is Tubi, by the way? Never heard of Tubi, by the way.
Tubi, it's owned by Fox.
Short movies, right?
No,
short
no,
films.
It's just another free. It's a free streaming service, but you don't pay for it. But they like have commercials like crazy. But you can watch. They'll have a whole channel that's all Family Ties, a channel that's all like Dr. Phil. They just buy cheap streaming stuff. Yeah, and here's the problem. It's not even. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's not even commercials, Matt, like you see on regular TV. It's like the same commercial every break.
Yeah, that's what's so annoying about it.
Yeah,
that's why I can't do it. No way.
It's like a cost per click. And Tubi, that was the catalyst for the MLW lawsuit against WWE.
Yeah.
I guess
I was just gonna say, but you know what's funny, guys? Tubi and Pluto and these free networks have been a huge success. Because there turns out there's a lot of people out there that either can't afford or don't want to pay money for streaming services.
Yeah.
So
there you are.
Yeah, it could actually be. Yeah, let me put it this way: if WWE had a channel on Tubi that just showed old stuff, that would probably be a really smart way for them to make money.
Yeah. So I guess with our discussion today, and thank you guys, everyone, so much. This was one of our best live numbers that we've done. We really appreciate it. Please, we're still a young channel, only been around for a few months, so we definitely appreciate it. If you hit that like button, hit subscribe. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, and leave us a comment if you watched the last few episodes or looked at the YouTube page of our last several episodes. We try to reply to every comment that's out there. So please definitely leave us a comment, and we'll definitely try to reply as quickly as we can. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Can I just say one thing? Somebody on there, Lance Davis Jr., I gotta say it. AEW could always go to the Weather Channel. That's tremendous. That's tremendous, Lance Davis.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm sorry.
So kind of on that note, what is your prediction of where WWE and AEW ends up starting at the end of 2024 or early 2025 for AEW?
Here's my problem. I don't want them going to WWE. I want them going to there at all. I don't want them going to Warner because I want AEW to continue to exist. So with that wish, and I want to put it into the universe, right? WWE's got to find something else. So I'm going to say FX.
Yeah, I think FX. No, I think FX is the one that makes sense. And this will probably end up being, part of the negotiation. I think they didn't, because of their pre-existing relationship with Universal and because of the way the bids went, I think SmackDown, I think they learned from whatever shortcomings they have with the SmackDown fee that they got, and they're trying to be a little more scheming to run up a number here.
Yeah. I've said it before. I'm still sticking with my prediction too. I'm with you guys. I think it's going to be FX.
Yeah. And I think it's a big bonus for everyone at WWE that Tony Khan is, maybe stressing out a little bit over this.
I'm sure they don't mind in WWE.
How do you tell? Is it?
I hope he goes on Twitter and just
If you guys are listening to the audio, you guys got to tune into the video just to see that.
Before we wrap, did you guys watch the trailer for Beverly Hills Cop 4 today?
No.
I did.
Yeah, coming
Thank
to
you, Justin
Netflix.
Lopez.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
so-
Netflix?
Yeah,
Not
and
in
they're calling it
theaters?
Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is the official title. Judge Reinhold is back. John Ashton is back as Taggart. Bronson Pinchot is back as Serge.
And,
Paul Reiser
Paul
is
Ri-
back.
Paul Reiser,
Yeah. But the
Are they able
coolest
to pull
thing,
this off?
Netflix, spent some money. The movie looks okay. When you watch the trailer and you see that Kevin Bacon's in it and the way he's talking, I'm like, Kevin Bacon's going to turn out to be the bad guy at the end of this. Pretty
I hope
sure. But
thank God, because 3 was so god
3
awful.
was so
That was
bad.
the worst. That and Karate Kid Part 3 were the worst
Karate Kid Part 3 is great.
Part 3s to a great Part 1.
But okay, so the reason to watch the trailer, though, aside from the nostalgia, they do transition in a mix of going from the Axel F theme into Notorious B.I.G.'s going back to Cali.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That
That's the
sounds
best part of
awesome.
the trailer. That's the best
I
part of
know
the
it's good.
trailer. Yeah.
The trailer's good. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it. And I liked Coming to America too, that they just
Wait.
did, a couple
Really?
of years ago. Yeah. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
anywhere near the first, but I thought it was entertaining.
Like, here's
I
the
like
thing about
West
Coming
Side.
to America, too. Did you watch
Guys-
Coming to America, too?
This is all great. This is all
Yeah,
great.
Matt's gotta go.
Somebody's
Matt's gotta
got to
leave.
use the bathroom. I got to pee my brains out.
Okay.
Right.
Matt, do that. We're going to talk about Coming to America, too, for a minute. I'm going to
All right.
spoilers for Coming
And
to America.
real quick,
2. Yeah.
I got to mention, because we did this episode tonight, we will not have an episode this
Yeah.
Sunday.
Unless something major happens in the world of professional wrestling.
Right.
In which case, we're just, a group chat away from hopping on. So here's the thing about Coming to America 2, and this is spoilers for everyone that hasn't seen it yet. It was a really rough start, but the second half had a lot of fan service. And when they did that end number and Peaches and the other girl rapper showed up, I was just like, okay, this is, my heart is warmed by this. When they the call back to that from the original Coming to America,
Yeah.
that made it almost all worthwhile.
Yeah, and seeing Arsenio again, it's good seeing him again.
Yeah. Louis Anderson in his
Seeing him
last
getting it.
on-screen role.
Right. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was good. It was good stuff. Okay, Matt's using the bathroom and doesn't know how to turn off his camera, which is funny for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrestling world. Nothing major can happen this weekend.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season. We got shit to do. So
And let's talk about right after we get off real quick on when we
Yeah,
wanna
we gotta
do the
figure out
next
our
one, 'cause
holiday
next
schedule.
week, the week after will be Christmas Eve. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not going to do an episode that night, and then week after is New Year's Eve. So we will have an update on the schedule for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Online, probably tonight. So look for that, and thank you guys as always.
thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you guys. Thank you guys,
you next
gals. We
time.
appreciate you.
Please
Thank
subscribe.
you for tuning in. Nope, I'm gonna cut you off. Thank you, folks, for tuning in to Gigantic Pop. For Glenn Rubenstein and Raj Giri, I am the Blueprint Matt Morgan, signing off and saying hello.